Do you support the Constitution as written and intended by the Founding Fathers, or do you consider it to be a living document? Please explain.
The Constitution is a sacred document envisioned by the Founding Fathers, and they are the principles that I will champion in Washington, D.C. I think a big part of the problem in our country, why our country is sliding towards socialism, is because too many leaders in Washington no longer view those constitutional principles as indispensable. And that is why bills such as the health care bill, the omnibus bill, TARP, the bailouts, these are unconstitutional pieces of legislation that never should have made it to the floor. Cap and tax, one that my primary opponent very much champions, is a perfect example of an unconstitutional bill that hurts businesses and is contrary to everything that our Founding Fathers envisioned for the future generations. So now, as those constitutional principles are no longer viewed as indispensable, you have a choice to make. The Constitution provides the framework for ordinary men and women to create the kind of world that they want future generations to live in. So that choice you have to make today as you are considering who you're going to cast your vote for, either at the convention or in the primary in September and especially in November, is what kind of world do you want to leave for future generations? One in which they need the federal government's permission for what kind of light bulb they're going to screw in their living room lamps? Where they're dependent on the federal government for everything from basic health care to food on their table? Or one in which our Founding Fathers envisioned, where your hard work provides for your family, and that while life can be hard, your hard work makes life better. The Constitution provides the framework to do that, but included in the Constitution is a system of checks and balance that require an engaged people. So with that, I ask for your support. Thank you.
Since all of our candidates here tonight are Republican, I'm going to say, if Republicans succeed in taking over Congress in 2010, and you are elected, what are your suggestions or plans for addressing the health care reform bill that's passed? What reform?
If Republicans take back Congress in 2010, I was in D.C. during the historic sweep when not just Republicans took back the House and the Senate, conservative Republicans took back the House and the Senate. And that was a very exciting time to be in Washington, D.C., because we saw a resurgence of the constitutional principles that makes America great. And I believe that that is what we see going on right now in America again. If ever we've been able to be confident in an uprising of everyday Americans defending our Constitution and that being championed by the national trend, it is this year. So I truly believe if citizens like you will continue to come out and engage your neighbors and fight to defend the Constitution, we will take back, now not just Republicans. It's important to elect Republicans that are committed to the principles that our party represents. And that's the difference between my opponent and me, especially when it comes to health care. My opponent is on the record saying he would not fight to repeal the health care bill, and I believe that that is an atrocity. Republicans must present a unified front to repeal the health care bill and call on the Democrats to join them. Now you could say it's unrealistic that Barack Obama will just veto it, but if we regain that majority and we keep the public pressure out there, we very well may override that veto. And if not, at least we are keeping the issue on the forefront and reminding Americans, 66% of which do not want this health care bill, we are reminding them to look at their leaders blatantly ignoring their wishes. In the meantime, we not only have to fight to stop this, we must fight to defund it. Because if health care is enacted the way it is intended, it will be the final nail in the coffin to make our country socialists. And that's not what America's about. That's not why I'm running. That's not why you're all here tonight. So please join me in keeping America, America. God bless you.
To reduce the size of government payroll and reverse the downward trend of manufacturing in the United States. Christine?
And it also addresses one of the biggest things on everybody's mind right now, jobs. You may have heard on the news the same thing I heard, jobs are increasing. But the problem is, government jobs are increasing, not private sector jobs. The way to really, truly, authentically improve our economy is to support the private sector and small business owners. We don't need more government dependency. Too often, Congress doesn't understand that it's the very actions of Congress that kill jobs and lead to bigger deficits. So one of the things that we have to do is stop expanding the bloated size of the federal government. Stop allowing the federal government to put its grubby little fingers into so many areas of our daily lives. We have to cut these programs, cut these departments. Let me give you a little anecdote. Barack Obama expanded every single department of the federal government except the Department of Defense. Except the Department of Defense. The one area that especially during a war on terror, we should be making a top priority. So number one, we need to help what Congress can do to decrease the size of the deficit is to tax reform. Right now, if you're a small business owner, you are triple taxed on your hard work. You pay your private income tax, you pay your business tax, and your employee pays taxes. That's not nurturing the entrepreneur spirit. We need to cut back some of these earmarks that help incumbents get reelected, but do nothing to decrease our debt. We need to stop borrowing money to pay for programs that we cannot afford. I'm out of time. Let me just close with, too often, the very men and women in Congress who vote for programs we cannot afford are just as guilty as then voting for the higher taxes we need to pay for those programs. Thank you. Thank you. Now more than ever, our freedoms hang in a delicate balance, and they haven't since the founding of our country. The founding of our country, ordinary men and women did extraordinary things because they knew that if they did not succeed, this infant country would fail. So we face similar times. I truly believe that. And I'm asking for your support because I want to defend America from becoming, as I said before, a socialist nation. My opponent is not here tonight, Mike Castle. Now, I want to address some things that you may have heard. Many people are saying Castle could never be beat. You can't win against Castle. That is not true. The O'Donnell for U.S. Senate team is gaining endorsements from all across the country. We're raising the money we need, and we're doing well in the polls. And that's because of people like you, and I thank you for that. I brought up the founding of our country when ordinary men and women did extraordinary things because our country was founded with visionaries and leaders. Visionaries see how the impossible can be possible. Leaders inspire others to enact that. And that's exactly what's happening now. I wish my opponent were here because, as Kevin said, there was not a lot of disagreement. If my opponent were here, there would be. According to the News Journal, Mike Castle is voting more and more conservative because he's voting with Obama 6 out of 10 times. And under Bush, he voted with the Democrats 70% of the time. In order to restore our country to the principles on which she was founded, we need to elect leaders who believe in the principles of the party, not just the power of the party. It's time to replace career politicians with citizens politicians. It's time to elect people who are going to stand up to the Washington elite and stand up against a Congress and a White House hell-bent on ramming socialism down our throat. I invite you to join our team and learn more about my positions at Christine2010.com. Thank you very much.